Hi guys, it's PanelHopper again, and I'm back with my review of The Old Guard 2, the long-awaited and possibly least expected sequel of the Netflix lockdown-era film starring Charlize Theron. Now, if you've seen my weird Netflix adaptations review of the first film, you'll know that this is not only a comic book adaptation, but also one that I really liked. I liked the premise, and I thought that it had really good action despite its limited budget, and some really good emotional stuff between the main cast members. Unfortunately, this film, The Old Guard 2, doesn't have any of that. So it's very apparent very early on that the budget for this sequel is much lower. I suspect that's the only reason it was made, because Charlize Theron is credited this time as an executive producer, so it's clear that she was one of the people who wanted it to be made, and it was made on a much lower budget. There are only a handful of really quite limited locations, and that's it. I mean, the first film had limited locations as well, but there was a lot more stuff outside. There were a lot more action. There was a lot more action in general, whereas the action in this is quite limited. So it's not limited in scope, but it is limited throughout the film. You have one big action scene at the beginning, and then one at the end. And that's kind of it, really. A lot of it is just the main cast as well. There's a couple of new characters played by Uma Thurman and Henry Golding, and that's it. The rest is just all characters from the first film, mainly just talking in rooms, which had, you know, which when you think about the number of moving parts there were in the first movie, even though that was quite a small scope film as well, it's clearly very different. What did I like about it? Not much, really. I mean, it even has the audacity to set up a sequel this time, whereas the first film had the good sense to kind of end where it doesn't have a definitive ending, but it has an ending. Like the bit at the end of the first movie, the sequel hook was a smaller bit, whereas this was like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing a sequel. It doesn't really feel, it feels far less earned in this one. It even calls back to the first film in ways where I'm not sure, like maybe they thought because they're both on Netflix that you would just watch the first film again, like I did, to be reminded. But if you hadn't watched the first film since it came out, I don't know how you're supposed to remember that in the very first scene where Niall and Andronicki are together, Niall stabs her, and then you're meant to kind of piece together that that's why Andronicki started losing her immortality, because that's the main plot of the movie, is that Andronicki losing her immortality was not a kind of thematic thing as it was in the first movie. It's to do with Niall, and that's a very strange choice to make. But anyway, those are my thoughts on it, really. Oh God 2, it's not very good. Should have been much better. Anyway, thanks guys. Bye.